Do you want more? More time, more balance, more love, more sex, more money, more real, and less bullshit? This is the Women Wanting More podcast with Dr. Karen Osborne. Real life, real stories, plus real tips to get you more of what you want.
Be joy. Be joy, be joy, be joy. There's this funny belief that says that emotions are something we can find, like we can get, that are outside of us, or that there is somebody or some experience or some place that's going to give us that. It's going to give us the happiness. It's going to give us the joy. It's going to give us angry. That person made me feel right, or sadness, or pain, or. And the one thing that I know is absolutely true is that, and we all know this, right? Nobody can make us feel anything. We feel the stuff that we have is within us. And so what does that look like? Well, it can look like something like the story of Viktor Frankl, which you may or may not know his story. He wrote a book called A Man's Search for Meaning. He was a Holocaust survivor. You should read the book, by the way, if you haven't. It is a classic book. I mean, my God, to not only have survived that horrific experience, but to be able to find meaning within that. In someone who was in some of the most, one of the most vile human experiences that has happened on this earth. And to find meaning within that, to find the joy, and to realize that even though there's like people are dying, and I can't remember with Viktor Frankl if he lost, I'm pretty certain he did lose members of his family in a concentration camp in Auschwitz, but to still understand that regardless of what is happening outside of you, that I am responsible for my own happiness. I am responsible for my joy. I am responsible for my peace. And there's nobody, no amount of money, no beautiful house, no car, no relationship, nothing that's going to give that to me outside of myself. This is why people that on the outside appear to have all the stuff, they have the beautiful wife or the handsome husband. They have a, great relationship. They have the cars, they have the money, they have look at their beautiful kids, look at their business, look at how they look on the outside, like all of these kind of, we'll call it quote unquote trappings of fame and success, and they have all the stuff. And I know people that have been in that place, and they are the most miserable of fucking people. And I also know people that have nothing. Now listen, this is not a conversation of, I had this conversation the other day, I think, on the podcast too. I don't want to go to this point or this conversation of saying there's something wrong with having stuff or money or a nice car or a nice house or any of that stuff. That is absolutely fine. I think that abundance is something that is your birthright. And it is not something that, is a bad thing, quote unquote, at all. Challenge comes is when we think that those things are what the Jerry Maguire movie, right? The famous line by Renee Zellweger, Jerry Maguire, right? Says to Tom Cruise, "You complete me," right? No, you need to complete yourself. You need to complete yourself. It's nice. It's very kind of, fairy tale-ish and stuff, but that is not it. You need to find your own joy. You need to find your own completeness within yourself. There's nobody who's going to give it to you. There's no experience. This whole notion of the grass is always greener, right? Well, once I hit this thing, right? Once I get this amount of money in business, then I'll be okay. Or once I, move to this place, then I'll be okay. Or once I, have these things that are lined up, then somehow, then life will unfold for me, or then I will feel like I'm successful, or then I will feel happy or peaceful. And we've all been there before too. And there gets a point in your life that those things will mean absolutely nothing to you. And you will be at a place, at a crossroads, where you will have the decision to make in front of you. And that's to either keep trying to fit yourself into that box of the thing that used to make you happy and it no longer does, right? The whatever that is within your life. And just thinking, well, if I'm just going to keep doing that thing over and over again, and eventually it'll feel that way again. Or you have this beautiful red carpet in front of you that says it is now the time for you to find more purpose and more meaning. And it doesn't mean that things even have to change on the outside, by the way. It can just be a different way of how you choose to see it. A different way of how you choose to see your life in front of you. It doesn't mean that it all gets, changed or thrown away, or maybe it could be that. I don't know. It's, you only know inside your heart what is the answer for you. But I do know it is this opportunity for you to be able to shift, to transform, to awaken, to really remember who you truly are. And to be joy and to be peace and to realize is that, there could be, like Viktor Frankl, the shittiest stuff that's happening within your life, or that would look that way, right? That is difficult and painful. And you don't know how you're going to get out of it. And, I have a lot of different women and men that listen to the podcast. I have lots of different ages. But I tell you, if you're a very, very younger woman or man, and you've not experienced some of these things yet, without being negative about it, it's coming, and it's okay. I don't say that as a doom and gloom kind of thing, but the more years that you're here on the planet, the more opportunity you have to grow, the more stuff that's going to be happening to you, for you, all of that. And you're going to realize is every single thing that you begin to chase that doesn't give you that thing anymore, right? Or expecting that, again, that when you get to these different levels or goals or whatever, that somehow and listen, there's nothing wrong, have those goals, do all that stuff. That's all great stuff. Have all the money that you want and more to be able to do the experiences which allow you to grow. Set these outrageous goals that are a scary thing, but you're man, I just really feel called in my heart to do that. Do those things. Take those risks. Don't think that it's well, tomorrow I'll do it, or the next day, or no, if you're feeling called to something, this is not the time to wait. Listen, our life is so fucking precious, sister, brother. It is so precious. You're going to blink and go, oh my God, what happened in the last 10 years, right? And even from that place, you can wake up and say, no, I'm going to choose different now. I'm going to realize that everything that has happened in my life has served me, and I am responsible for me. And I don't mean that also from the standpoint of oh, well, nobody understands me. Nobody gets me. I'm all alone. It's all up to me. No, not that. Not the separation. That's what ego, that's what fear, that's what the mind would have you believe. That's not true. We are all connected. We are all connected. Regardless of what you quote unquote believe or don't believe about God, source, the universe, we're all connected. The difference, though, is realizing that even within that, your willingness to know that you're responsible for you, that everything that's happened in your life has happened for you, that you have brought in at some point. Yes, even some of the stuff that's really shitty, that doesn't seem fair. I know, it sucks. And this is also not to blame yourself or feel guilt or go, oh, I screwed it up, I fucked it up. No, none of that stuff. Your path has been your path for a reason and for a purpose. And you might know the answers to that at some point, and you might never. I said to my boys the other day as we're kind of driving to the park, and I said, you know what, because it was they're fighting, and I'm I got to change my state and their state. I go, let's talk about one thing you're grateful for, right? And so I go, let me go first. I am grateful, boys, that mommy was never able to grow a baby in her tummy. Because if I did, I wouldn't be your mommy. We wouldn't have adopted you. And so I'm grateful for that. right? I didn't know at the time, going through all the fertility testing and things that we've tried and like 7.5 years of that, like it sucked. It was hard. Incredibly painful. It's a loss. It's a loss unless you really kind of know that path. People go, oh yeah, we went through that and then we got pregnant, and there's like, no, that's not the same thing. But it's a loss. But I understand that loss had purpose and had meaning. It also delayed me of not being a parent and not being a mom until I was 41 and 43. It allowed me to be able to gain more life experience, to be able to parent these fierce 2 boys that I know I was designed to be their mommy. I know that with absolute certainty. So there are twists and turns that happen in our life that, again, we might not see it when we are in the shit, right? When we're in the thick of things, when we're in the pain and the sadness and the hard stuff and the challenges. Like, we can't see the forest for the trees at that point, right? But within all of this, the bad times, if you will, and the good times, they're just times. In all of this, we get to choose our emotions. We can be those emotions. We can be those emotions. You can choose them. It doesn't matter what's happening outside of you. By the way, this is also why some people too are like, everything is going great. And know what emotion they choose? Oh shit, scarcity. Well, it's not an emotion, but they choose, well, I guess maybe scarcity. They think like this stuff's going to all go away at some point. It's going to all go away. So I'm going to choose instead to be like, oh shit, like I'm going to lose this all. And they choose fear. And so what are you going to choose? What emotion are you going to be today? And you might choose sadness, and you might choose pain, and you might choose suffering, and you might choose loneliness, and you might choose all those things, or guilt or shame, and it's all right. Don't deny the stuff that's coming up for you. But understand this is what you're choosing, and maybe you need to. Maybe you need to like work through stuff and feel it. Stop resisting it, like just feel it. Like let it move through you like a wave. It's interesting what happens when you just choose to surrender to the emotion that's coming up. And you're going to notice that like a wave, it moves through. It moves through. Versus trying to stop the wave. You can hold it back for so long, right? For so long. And then it's just going to come crashing down on you. But once you allow that, then you get to choose and go, okay, now what? Am I going to keep allowing myself to get smacked down by these waves? Or I'm going to stand up and turn around and face it and choose something different, even in the difficult stuff that I'm going through at this time. You get to choose. You can be joy. You can be happiness. You can be peace. Even if just for a moment to feel that. You can. So your more tip for today is just to listen to this 2 more times. I feel that there's something else you need to hear in this. You can listen to it 2 more times right again. You can go, okay, I'm going to kind of like, listen later today or listen to it tomorrow and the day after that. But it's interesting what happens at times when we create some time and space, right? We're always changing, evolving, and growing. And so we'll hear different things. Like you've read like a book before and you're like, oh, you read it again, you're like, oh. Like I read Eckhart Tolle's books, The Power of Now and New Earth again this year. And I read them when they first came out and like I did not take them in. It was different back then. It's fine. So listen to this 2 more times over the next few days and simply hear what you need to hear and see what you need to see in this episode. And sister, right now there is one spot. I still have a lot of women that are applying for this last one-on-one coaching spot for the summer, which will actually roll into the fall. And so this is really for women that are, this is some of the stuff that I teach and I get to do really intimately in a one-on-one coaching experience, which is such a privilege and a gift. And it is like truly what I do best is to be one-on-one with women, you know, to really help remember who you are. And for women that are really at a point where they're just like, you've tried so many things, you're at this crossroads, you're at this crisis, you're like, I feel stuck, I feel lost, I don't know who I am. Like, and it's not for lack of trying, because I know that you've tried a lot of things. You're not just kind of throwing your arms up in the air, but you've kind of realized that, you know, you can't go at this alone. Like, you really need to have some help to navigate through this. So if that is you, sister, and you've been hearing this message for a while, or maybe this is the first time and you're just like hearing it land, like, and I know what that's like. I know that there's been times that I've connected with coaches that I've hired for myself, business and otherwise, and personal, where it's just like, I just feel this in my heart. And it might feel kind of scary. And you're like, I don't know how this is going to work, or how am I going to make this work? But just, you know, follow that. If you're feeling that, follow that. So this is by application only for my one-on-one coaching spots. Again, one left right now. So here's what you need to do. I want you to email me, drkarenosburn@gmail.com. 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 And simply say, Karen, I'd like to apply for that last spot, and I will send you further instructions from there. So I will talk to you in the next episode, sister. A life of more is really understanding that, yeah, you get to be joy, even amidst the stuff you're going through every single day. I love and appreciate you.
To get the show notes of each Women Wanting More episode, including the How to Get More tip, subscribe to the newsletter at drkarenosburn.com/newsletter.